There are moments in life when fear does not knock politely at the door. It crashes in without warning. It comes in the quiet of the night when your mind refuses to rest. In the early hours of the morning when bad news arrives, and in the silent questions you carry that no one else sees. The world we are living in is louder, faster, and more uncertain than ever. And many people are quietly carrying a weight they were never meant to bear alone. You may look strong on the outside, faithful in public, steady in your words, yet deep inside there is a longing for safety, for assurance, for a place where your heart can finally rest. Psalm 91 was not written for people who never face danger. It was written for those who live in a world where danger is real, where sickness exists, where evil moves in secret, and where fear tries to make a home in the mind. This psalm does not deny the reality of trouble. It reveals the reality of God's presence in the middle of it. These words were not given as poetic comfort to admire from a distance. They are a declaration of divine protection, spoken over those who choose to dwell with God, trust Him fully, and make Him their refuge. Tonight, right where you are listening, God is not asking you to be fearless by your own strength. He is inviting you to come under His covering. Psalm 91 speaks to the hidden battles you fight, the threats you never saw coming, and the ones you narrowly escaped without even realizing it. It speaks to the fears that rise at night, the worries about tomorrow, and the silent prayers you whisper when no one else is listening. This psalm reminds us that protection is not found in control, preparation, or human strength, but in proximity to the Most High. As we walk through this message together, allow these words to settle deep in your spirit. This is not about memorizing verses or repeating promises mechanically. This is about learning how to live under God's shadow, how to rest while the storm rages, and how to trust when the world feels unsafe. Psalm 91 is God's invitation to stop striving, stop running, and step into the security of His presence. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is not just scripture explained. It is a promise meant to be lived. Number 1. Dwelling in the secret place, the foundation of divine protection. Psalm 91 begins with a condition before it reveals a promise. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is not a verse about occasional prayer or emergency faith. It is about a lifestyle. The word dwells does not mean to visit when things get hard. It means to live there, to remain, to make it your home. God's protection is not activated by panic-driven prayers alone, but by a life that stays close to Him. The secret place is not a physical location you can find on a map. It is a spiritual position. It is the place of intimacy, where your heart stays connected to God even when no one is watching. It is where you speak honestly with Him, where you listen, where you trust Him beyond appearances. Many people want the protection of Psalm 91, but they do not want the closeness it requires. Yet Scripture is clear: protection flows from proximity. To dwell in the secret place means you do not just believe in God. You rely on Him. You bring your fears, decisions, failures, and hopes before Him daily. You learn to sit quietly in His presence instead of rushing past it. And when you dwell there, something powerful happens. The verse says you will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. A shadow only covers what is close. If you are under His shadow, it means you are near Him. You are not exposed. You are not abandoned. You are covered. This is the foundation of divine protection. Before angels are mentioned, before dangers are named, before victory is declared, God establishes one truth: closeness to Him changes everything. When you dwell with God, His presence becomes your shelter. And when His presence is your shelter, fear loses its authority over your life. Number 2. God as refuge and fortress. Who you run to matters. After establishing where protection begins, the psalmist makes a bold declaration. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. This is not a quiet thought. It is a spoken decision. Faith is not only believed, it is declared. In moments of uncertainty, who you run to reveals what you truly trust. A refuge is a place you flee to when danger approaches, A fortress is a place that cannot be easily shaken or broken into. By calling God both, Scripture shows us that He is not only a place of comfort, but a place of strength. Many people turn to distractions, control, money, or human reassurance when fear rises, but those things can fail. God cannot. Trusting God as your refuge means you stop running everywhere else first. You stop letting fear lead your decisions. You stop building walls God never asked you to build. Instead, you place your confidence in who God is, not in how safe things appear to be. This kind of trust is not passive. It is an active surrender. It says, God, I choose you even when I don't understand. Notice the personal language. My refuge, my fortress, my God. Psalm 91 is not about distant theology. It is about relationship. Protection becomes personal when trust becomes personal. When you choose God as your refuge, you are not denying reality. You are declaring a greater one. You are saying that no matter what happens around you, your safety is anchored in Him. And when God becomes your refuge and fortress, fear no longer has the final word. You may still face storms, but you will face them from a place of security. You are not standing in the open. You are standing behind walls built by God Himself. Number 3, protection from seen and unseen dangers. God's shield against every threat. Psalm 91 does not pretend that danger does not exist. Instead, it names it directly. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. A snare is a hidden trap, something designed to catch you without warning. Pestilence speaks of destruction that spreads quietly, often unseen. Together, these words remind us that not every threat in life announces itself. Some dangers are obvious. Others are subtle, slow, and hidden beneath the surface. God's protection reaches beyond what your eyes can see. There are moments when you sense danger approaching, and moments when you have no idea how close you came to harm. Psalm 91 reveals that God is active in both. He delivers you from traps you recognize and from threats you never knew existed. This includes spiritual attacks, sudden sickness, destructive patterns, and even decisions that could have led you down the wrong path. God's hand moves in ways you may not notice until later, when you look back and realize how clearly He was guiding and guarding you. The psalm continues by addressing fear directly. Terror by night and destruction by day. Fear often works in cycles. It grows louder in the dark when the world is quiet, and your thoughts are not distracted. During the day, it shows up as anxiety, pressure, and constant worry about what might go wrong. God does not shame you for feeling afraid. Instead, He offers protection that breaks fear's control. His promise is not that fear will never knock, but that it will not rule your life. When you trust in God's protection, you begin to live with awareness instead of anxiety. You are alert, but not afraid. You are cautious, but not controlled by fear. God becomes your defender, standing watch over your life in ways no human effort ever could. His protection is complete, covering every angle, every hour, every unseen threat. Number 4, under His wings. The power of God's covering. One of the most tender images in Psalm 91 appears when it says, He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. This is not the language of distance or cold authority. This is the language of closeness, care, and affection. God is described not only as a mighty protector, but as a loving guardian who draws you near. Under His wings is a place of surrender. You cannot remain under God's wings while trying to control everything yourself. This kind of protection requires humility. It requires you to admit that you need covering, that you cannot shield yourself from everything, and that you trust God enough to stay close to Him. When a bird gathers its young under its wings, it is both protecting and guiding them. That is the picture God gives us here. This covering is not fragile. The psalm immediately adds that His truth is a shield and a buckler. A shield protects from direct attacks. A buckler protects from blows coming from unexpected angles. God's truth surrounds you completely. His promises are not just comforting words. They are defensive strength for your soul. When lies try to take hold, truth pushes them back. When fear tries to enter, faith stands guard. Living under God's wings means you stop exposing your heart to constant fear and chaos. You choose to remain close to His voice, His word, and His presence. And in that closeness, you find safety, not because life becomes easy, but because you are no longer facing it uncovered. You are held, surrounded, and protected by a God who does not sleep, does not fail, and does not let go. Number 5. 1,000 may fall. God's protection is personal. Psalm 91 reaches a moment that feels almost shocking in its confidence. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. This is not a denial of chaos. It is an announcement of distinction. The verse acknowledges that destruction can be widespread, visible, and overwhelming, yet it also declares that God's protection operates on a personal level. Proximity to danger does not mean participation in it. There are seasons when everything around you seems to be shaking. People you know are struggling, systems are failing, and fear is spreading quickly. In moments like these, it is easy to assume that if others are falling, you must be next. Psalm 91 confronts that assumption directly. God's protection is not limited by circumstances, statistics, or human logic. It is governed by covenant. This verse does not promise that believers will never witness loss or pain. It promises that God knows how to preserve His own in the midst of it. You may see difficulty with your eyes, but it will not have authority over your life. God's protection creates a boundary that destruction cannot cross without His permission. This is not about favoritism. It is about relationship. Those who dwell with God are kept by God. Living with this truth requires faith under pressure. It means standing firm when fear says, everyone is falling. It means trusting God when the evidence around you suggests collapse. Psalm 91 teaches us that God's protection does not remove us from the world, but it keeps us from being overtaken by it. You are not surviving by chance. You are preserved by promise. Number 6. Angels on assignment. Heaven's invisible protection force. Psalm 91 then lifts the curtain on a reality many believers forget. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. God's protection is not only spiritual in principle, it is active in practice. Heaven is involved in your daily life in ways you cannot see. Angels are not symbols or myths. They are servants of God, sent on assignment for those who belong to Him. These angels are commanded by God, not by us. Their role is to guard, guide, and protect according to His will. They watch over your paths, your movements, and even the decisions that shape your future. There are moments when you were delayed, redirected, or stopped from moving forward, and you may never fully understand why. Psalm 91 reveals that God's protection often works through unseen hands. This promise is not an invitation to reckless living. The verse says angels keep you in all your ways, meaning the paths God has appointed for you. When you walk in obedience, you walk in alignment with heaven's protection. God's covering flows most freely when you remain within His will. Obedience is not restriction. It is safety. Knowing that God commands angels on your behalf changes how you walk through life. You are never truly alone. You are never unguarded. Even when fear whispers that you are vulnerable, heaven is actively watching over you. God's protection extends beyond what you feel or understand. His care is constant, intentional, and deeply personal. Number 7. God's final promise. Deliverance, honor, and salvation. In the final verses of Psalm 91, the voice shifts. God Himself begins to speak. After all the promises, images, and assurances, the Lord declares His heart directly. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. This is not a distant God speaking in general terms. This is a personal response to a personal relationship. Protection flows from love, and deliverance flows from knowing who God truly is. God does not promise a life without trouble. Instead, he promises his presence in it. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. These words remove the fear of abandonment. Trouble may come, but you will not face it alone. God's protection is not escape from every storm, but companionship through it. When you call, he answers. When you struggle, he stays. That is divine protection at its deepest level. The promise continues with honor, long life, and salvation. This is not just about surviving danger. It is about living with purpose. God does not preserve your life without meaning. He delivers you so that your life can reflect his glory. Long life here is not merely about years added, but about a life fulfilled under God's guidance. And salvation stands as the greatest protection of all. No earthly danger can compare to the security of eternity in God's hands. These final promises seal Psalm 91 as a covenant, not a temporary reassurance. God commits himself to those who love him, call on him, and remain close to him. His protection reaches beyond this life and into eternity. Conclusion. Psalm 91 is not a chapter to admire from a distance. It is an invitation to live differently. It calls you to dwell instead of visit, to trust instead of fear, and to rest instead of strive. God's protection is not activated by perfect faith or flawless obedience, but by a heart that chooses him as its refuge. You may not control everything that happens around you, but you can choose where you stand. You can choose to stand under the shadow of the Almighty. You can choose to run to God when fear rises instead of running away. And when you do, you will discover that his protection is not fragile, temporary, or uncertain. It is steady, personal, and powerful. Let Psalm 91 become more than words you hear today. Let it shape how you pray, how you rest at night, and how you face tomorrow. God is still faithful, his promises are still true, and his divine protection is still available to all who choose to dwell with him.